welcome to another edition of the Sports Junkies, and it's our favorite time of year. Everyone's doing it. Everyone's talking about it. Baseball. Baseball is back. Major League's getting underway. It's going to be another great season. It's hard, although I will say it's going to be hard to follow up 2011. The way that ended, the postseason, Wild Card Wednesday, that was a lot of fun. But we move on. 2012, we are the Sports Junkies. We've done our AL preview, our NL preview. It's time to make predictions. And this is the fun part, guys. We've got our starting rotation ready to go here. I'm Thomas Bookwalter, along with Alex Simon, Ben Baker, and David Freese. Not to be confused with World Series MVP David Freese. Sooner or later, that joke will get old, but don't worry about it.
It already has.
It already has. Okay.
Thank you
for letting me know. That's important. I should mention, before we get into the predictions, that it is now official. There are 2 wildcard teams in each league. So there will be a wildcard team at the 2 wildcard teams at the end of the year. They're playing a 1-game playoff. The winner will go on to the division series. So, you guys ready to go?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it. Let's break out. We got iced up. We're ready to throw again, and for our bullpen sessions. And let's start in the American League. And I think we'll go around. We'll start with Dave. Dave, what do you think is going to happen in your predictions to the American League this year? Your playoff teams.
Well, I think my playoff teams are going to be coming from the AL West. I think the Anaheim Angels. I think the AL East, the Red Sox will take it. I think the team that will have the best record in the American League, I think the Tigers, they'll take the AL Central. And the 2 AL wildcard teams that I think will be a part of will be Tampa Bay and Texas. So those are my predictions as far as getting into the postseason.
Okay, and what we'll do is we'll get all of our American League predictions and then discuss. This will be great. Ben, go ahead. You're up.
All right, for me, coming out of the AL West, it's going to be the Angels. I also like them. They have a very strong pitching staff. In the Central, also, Tigers, dominant. And then the West, sorry, not the West, the East. The East, I like the Yankees to win it. And then in the wild card, I like Boston to be my first wild card team, and the Texas is my second.
Yankees the East. Tigers is the best team in the AL, get the Central. Angels the West. Red Sox get the first wild card. And then, interesting thing, Blue Jays and Rangers tie for the second wild card. So on that last day of the year, they'll have to play another game the very next day. And I picked the Blue Jays to win that tiebreaker game. And then they'll have to go and play Boston again in the actual wild card game. So I have the Blue Jays getting it in a tiebreaker over the Rangers.
I like that little twist. That's fun. That's cool. All right. That's always the fun part about making predictions. Okay, for my American League, my AL, since we seem to be going west to east this time, I'll go Angels for the American League West. I got the Tigers winning the American League Central and the Yankees as the American League East Division champions. For my wildcard teams, I think the Texas Rangers and the Tampa Bay Rays. I think the Rays and Rangers will be playing each other in the wildcard game. You guys mentioned who will have the best record in the division. Obviously, part of me wants to say Rangers, but if I'm picking them as a wild card, that can't happen. I'll go with the Tigers as the best record in the American League, so they'll be the 1 seed. So as we look at those are AL predictions. Now I notice in the East, some of us went with we all pretty much agree on the Yankees, but there's a wild card discussion there brewing. I can see between the Red Sox and the Rays. So now Ben, you said the Red Sox. Right? What makes you think the Red Sox will be able to overtake the Rays in the Eastern Division and be a wild card team this year?
I think last year was kind of an anomaly, and as mentioned in the previous episode, they're going to shut down the drinking and the chicken in the dugout. And I think that will help. and I just think if they play up to the ability that they can, then they should be a better team than the Rays.
I think the Red Sox are the better team, just in terms of talent-wise. Again, they have the money to spend.
Yeah.
I mean, they just built a ballpark down for their spring training home. That's an exact copy of Fenway Park, except the monster's actually taller because it's the only way they could add more seats to it. But I think that in a year like this, where you have that extra spot, with more teams available, more teams that aren't willing to sell, let's say, and the Rays can pick up maybe a minor piece at a cheap price, that's going to hurt them. And I didn't even pick the Rays to make it. I picked the Blue Jays even.
Right.
And I think the Blue Jays have every piece of the puzzle that's starting to build. And with a little bit of a hot streak, you get that Colorado Rocky-like hot streak that the Rockies always tend to have. If they were to get it towards the end of the season, I wouldn't want to face a team like that, especially in the Sky Dome.
Well, the thing with me is I did consider picking the Red Sox as a wild card team, but my issue with them is that they do have issues. First of all, they're getting older. and they're getting hurt. I mean, they still are a good, solid team, but they have a lot of injury problems. David Ortiz is not who he used to be. He's still a good player, not who he used to be. John Lester, Josh Beckett, these guys have been breaking down. They're not who they used to be. They're still good, but they're not as good as they've been.
But they don't have to be as good as they used to be.
The Rays are a good, solid, young team who remind me a lot of the Giants. Because they have a really good, solid pitching staff. The offense is, I probably would still pick Boston's offense over the Rays. But I think in a division like this, pitching is going to be key because you got a lot of great offenses. You got the Yankees have a good offense. The Red Sox have a good offense. The Blue Jays have a good offense. The Rays, their offense is kind of, not quite on that level, but it's still pretty good. I think if you have a pitching staff who can shut down those offenses, just like we saw, I know we don't want to live in the past, but 2010, look at what the Giants did in the playoffs. They shut down the Phillies offense. They shut down a pretty good Braves offense, and they shut down maybe the best offense in baseball that year in the Texas Rangers. So good pitching, it's been proven, will beat good hitting. I think the Rays, they're young, but they're strong. I think they can shut down enough offenses to the point where they can get it in as a wild card.
They do have a very good pitching staff, and that might get them in there. I don't know. My pick is still the Red Sox, but
That's okay.
and the
Rays will give them a chance.
The reason why I think the Red Sox
Nice
have
try.
it is because they've built enough around them that they don't need Ortiz to be the same guy that he used to be. They have the pitching with the back part of their bullpen that they build up. They've acquired some big names. Bailey, they acquired somebody, I forget his name now, it slips my mind, from Chicago in a trade earlier as a reliever.
Was it Mark Mellington?
Yes, Mellington.
Yeah.
He's going to be a solid backline reliever. The Red Sox just have the pitching at the end when you need to close a game out that I just don't see the Rays having.
Dave?
I'd say, like I was saying earlier, I think as far as veteran experienced team, I think the Red Sox, they still have it. I think even more than the Yankees by now. As far as young talent, I think Tampa Bay definitely has it. And it seems like they always get off to a slow start. That's why I'm picking them for a wild card instead of picking them to win the AL East. But I think they definitely could be dangerous come year's end. And then the Angels, that's the team that has the most potential, I guess, with all their added new talent. C.J. Wilson, Albert Pujols, maybe they're a year away because there's going to be a lot of pressure on their side. But that doesn't mean they could take the AL West.
Well, now see, there's an interesting point right there, Dave. You just kind of segued back to the AL West. Why now? I think we all pretty much picked the Angels to win the Western Division, right? Now I want to get your thoughts on that because let's face it, the Rangers are the two-time defending division champions. Not only division champions, they're the AL champions the last 2 years. Is it just because? Okay, let's face it. We talked about this before. The Angels have all the hype. They got Pujols. What is it now that you think, besides Pujols, okay, the Angels are clearly the better team now in the Western Division? Because the Rangers are still, to me, a very strong team, even though I picked the Angels.
Well, I did pick the Angels, but I wouldn't say it's a huge, clear distinction there. The Rangers are bringing one of the best offenses in all of baseball every game. Hamilton, Nelson Cruz, Adrian Beltre, Michael Young, everybody on that team is a good hitter. I just think they're a little deficient in the pitching, and the Angels really are not. The Angels have got Herron and Weaver at the top of their rotation and some other good pitchers as well. To me, it's the pitching. There's too much of a difference in the pitching between the Angels and the Rangers.
And I would tend to agree with you. We don't know what Darvish is going to be yet. Darvish looked really good in one start so far in spring. He looked really bad in his second start. We just don't know. The only example we have of a guy coming over that was this hyped, this big, is Daisuke Matsuzaka, and he's definitely not proven to be the exact, top level pitcher.
He hasn't won more than 9 games in a few years.
Exactly, and that's why I don't see that working out to what the Rangers are praying or expecting it does.
And, it's kind of funny. Texas are the defending 2-time American League champions, but I think the fact that they lost in heartbreaking fashion in the World Series. My pick for them to be the wild card is more out of respect. But who knows how psychological that's going to affect them. At home, they're going to be dominant, I believe. Maybe they're going to struggle a lot on the road. And, to try to make the World Series 3 straight years is extremely tough. It's going to be a harder road for the Rangers. They've lost their pitching depth. Offensive-wise, they're fine, but maybe psychologically, that could be a big factor in whether or not the Rangers could repeat.
Okay, well, real quick before we switch leagues, for the Angels, for me, it's, first of all, the Rangers have lost their ace pitcher the last 2 years. Going into last year, they lost Cliff Lee. But they were still able to survive, be the strongest team in the American League. This year, they lose C.J. Wilson. Eventually, you keep losing your ace, it's going to catch up. They still have good, solid pitching, but the Angels already have solid pitching going. They've been building it up. They add C.J. Wilson to a rotation that already has Jared Weaver, Dan Herron, and Irvin Santana. That's a pretty solid rotation right there. So I think that with the additions of Wilson and Pujols, who have playoff experience, who have that stretch drive experience to help the younger guys, I think the Angels, it will be close, have just enough to beat out the Rangers for the Western Division, but the Rangers is still one of the best teams in the American League, and I think we all agree will probably make the playoffs.